Up in the chat. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Do me a favor when you come in, hit that like button, say where you're watching from. Yo, be interactive in the chat. We promote that here. We want that. Be respectful in the chat. You do not get censored here or kicked out of the chat as long as you do not disrespect my moderators, my subscribers, or my supporters. You can rock out with us. Make sure that you are respectful in the chat. Keep your comments short. Keep them straight to the point. Keep them cordial, respectful. Don't flag the AI mod. Other than that, what's up, you guys? Happy Tuesday, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Here we at 2026. We just chugging right along. All right, so there's a lot of things happening today in the news because it's Monday, and there's a lot that happened over the weekend. Some of it I'm not covering today, right? We got a lot happening in New York between Zoran Mamdani, and Trax NYC. First and foremost, shout out to New York Dad. That's a YouTube channel that I watch. He's the first that I heard it from. So because he's already a channel that I watch on the side because of his sneaker content, he reacts to New York stuff. So I heard it there first. But yeah, Trax actually went on a podcast that I've been watching for a couple years that he's been on before. Shout out to Patrick Bet David podcast, PPD, Valuetainment, very famous podcast. And he and Trax happen to be friends. He went on there and they kind of talked about what happened. I want to fit that into the live stream today. I probably will. It's not in the title, but I'll make sure I talk a little bit about it before we play it. If I decide to play it tonight. So, yeah, let's jump right in. Other than that, we got all the news things happening in the media. So, let me pull this up for you guys. First up, so I like to go per the title. You guys know that, so people can just kind of jump in when they can, and they can kind of see what part we're up to in the live stream. First up, we got Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. They call out President Trump. So, again, the dynamic duo is together. Shout out to Purge Viral. He's the one who covered it. Purge is a channel favorite. We watch him over here often. Shout out to you, Purge. He's been doing a lot of great work over there, growing substantially. So, shout out to him for that. So, we're going to listen to Alex Jones, the king of conspiracy theories, which sometimes turned out to be true, and Nick Fuentes talk about the Trump administration. Then next up, we have Tim Walz not running again. So he was debating, going back and forth, ultimately decided over the Christmas holiday with his family that he will not be running for governor of Minnesota again, which I personally think that's a good thing. It's also not surprising to me. It's not shocking with Trump in office. I'm not shocked that he's not going to run again. And then we got Candace Owens slams Trump. So that looks like Candace Owens slams Trump for going full neocon on Venezuela. So Candace did not appreciate this. Then after the three, I think that's when we'll go to PPD podcast and we'll see him interviewing Trax New York, and they're having a conversation about that. So let's jump straight in. First and foremost, you guys make sure you hit that like button for me when you come in. Remember all the rules of engagement when it comes to talking in the chat. And yeah, let's jump right in. So first up, we're going to go to Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes talking about the Trump administration.
This is the Wonder Oven Pro from Our Place. Our next generation, non-toxic.
Engineered it so that we could control the federal judiciary, the Supreme Court. So without a doubt, we have all the cards. We have all the power. And I think that when that is the case, especially, maybe it's a different story when Biden was in charge. I was certainly far more critical of the Democrats when he was the president. But when Republicans are in charge, I really believe we have a special obligation to put the heat on Trump and to light a fire under them to get the things that they promised to do finished, because we don't have that much time. And I understand what you're saying. There are some people that are telling us that, politics is useless. It's a waste of time. People say things like, there are no political solutions. And I, like you, am a bit more optimistic. I think that even the Trump administration presents us with opportunities. And as you said, when he does positive things, I heap praise upon Trump. Like, for example, for the tariffs, for securing the border. These are very positive things. We have to be honest, though, and say there are a lot of negatives here. For example, the foreign policy. This intervention in Venezuela has like a 16% approval rating. I do just think we have an obligation. There's a commission on the part of the America First base to be very loud. And I also think very negative. I think that we always have to be asking for more because time is of the essence. There's so much urgency. We don't realistically even have 4 years. We actually have like a year and a half. If we could talk about the timeline of the 4 years, breaking it down.
Yeah, let's do that. And again, I don't disagree with you. I think putting pressure on Trump is good. I was just putting the question out there. But let's talk about the timeline, sure. Big picture.
Timeline, I mean, we are 1 year in already, and what did the Donald Trump-Stein administration actually do for our country? Not much, right? What did the Trump-Stein administration do for the average Americans? Not much, right? It's such a shame. I feel like this administration was more busy the past year with almost everyone else in the world, every foreign conflict in the world, but not with our own people, not with our own country. And this is such a shame because I feel like now it's finally for the people of this country that they deserve what they voted for.
Granted, what you hear Purge Viral saying here, he's not the only person that feels like that. A lot of people feel like this administration hasn't accomplished much, right? I've said to you guys on the live stream, plenty of people who voted for Trump are pissed off. Like, plenty of people feel like, hey, you're not delivering, you're not doing what you said you would, right? Yes, his approval rating seems pretty strong amongst Republicans, right? But the overall approval rating has dropped, since he's been in office. And that's just because people just feel like a lot isn't getting done. I remember watching a 2025 recap about everything that the administration has done so far, and it's kind of like a joke to people. A lot of people are like, are you kidding me? Like, you guys are barely hitting numbers when it comes to deportations. Now, the last time I checked, they were at 340,000. Chat, if you guys know a number, update it for me by putting it in the chat. How many deportations has the Trump administration done so far? Because here's what I can tell you guys for a fact. They haven't touched Obama's administration. And Obama deported almost 3 million? Almost 3 million immigrants, if not 3.1 million. Let's keep watching.
I feel like now it's not time for America first anymore. It's time to put Americans first. Because all these people, they just want one thing, the things what they voted for. And it feels like this is already too much to ask for. I mean, if this administration couldn't solve any problems of our country in the first year, what are they actually going to solve in the next 3 years? Come on, what a joke is this administration, right? Or am I the only one who thinks like this?
Yeah, so in terms of timeline, I was saying this throughout the election last year and even at the beginning of this year, and you know this perfectly well because you were around for the first term too, and we both watched it sort of in real time. Everybody thinks you get 4 years. That's the president's term. So people think we got 2025 until 2029 when the next president's inaugurated. And so we have plenty of time. And we really don't, though. Because, as you know, the ruling party almost always suffers in the midterms, especially in the House. It's almost a given that we will lose the House of Representatives in 2026.
Now, that's not something that Nick wants to happen. I don't think many people that are Republicans want to see that happen. But what he's saying is that there's a good chance that that is going to take place. Because normally the ruling party, if they have everything, they usually lose it in the midterm. So that's why he's saying there's a pretty high chance that that's going to happen.
That is a year away. That more likely than not, because we have such a slim majority, we're going to lose the House. And you know that once we lose the House, the Democrats are going to do everything in their power to subpoena, to investigate. They're going to try and jam up the administration. It's going to...
Oh, yeah, they're going to start doing a lot of crazy stuff.
Take a lot of energy away from some of the other initiatives and projects. So that's a major pressure. The other thing is the elections. probably before we even lose the House, there's going to be, to some extent, some moderating. The administration might not want to be extremely aggressive. They're going to be more risk averse because in the build up to the midterms, they're going to be campaigning and they're going to try to win over people in the middle, the independents. We have to win the election. So realistically, in like the spring or the summer of next year, they might start to moderate. And then the third thing is that Trump is a lame duck. And that means that he is term limited. He can't run again in 2028. Starting in 2027, just a couple months after the midterms, like half his cabinet and many of the senators and governors might start their exploratory committees and start thinking about running for president. And that includes Vance, Rubio, Noem, DeSantis. Like a lot of people are going to start to look for the exits and they're going to have one foot in, one foot out. And so by 2027, there's not going to be a ton of focus. Then 28, you got another election. So all this is to say, you really need to push hard and strong and fast. There's a lot of urgency.
And I think there's something decent to what Nick is saying. He's talking about the intentionality of the matter, right? Like, he's like, listen, don't be in there gaffing off, acting like we actually have a full 4 years. Because he's right. Most people do think it's from, like what he said, 2025 to 2029. And it's actually not that. It would be from 2024 to 2028. And because we are already in 2026, that's why he's like, dude, we don't even have 3 years left. We have really like a year and a half. So I think his timeline's pretty spot on. So he really wants to see some intentionality, from this administration, which I mean, I think right now he has a lot of support now. A lot of people are like, okay, like, what are you doing, Trump? Like, you're not delivering? Like, what's going on here?
See,
So what does Trump need to do right now? I mean, if you were the president, what would you do?
if I'm the president, I'm going to do mass deportations. I'm going to do everything in my power to deport as many people as possible immediately. And no excuses about we need to spin up the personnel. And I get it. I talk to people that are in government, and I understand some of the problems. But we need like a Herculean effort to get those deportations up immediately.
Did you like Trump saying that he's going to total ban on all third world immigration?
I thought it was the best statement he's had in probably 5 years, but it's just a statement.
Like Trump saying that he's going to total ban on all third world immigration?
I thought it was the best statement he's had in probably 5 years, but
now, Trump saying something like that, a total ban on all third world immigration, that would be something that should be very shocking to anybody, right? Because we already had a bunch of third world countries on our list anyway that either weren't allowed to come to the United States or it was strongly advised against Americans going there to that country. So that was kind of already in place. If anything, Trump's just going to take it a step further and he's just going to put a total ban on it. Meaning like they're not going to ever be able to come over here. They're not going to ever be able to become citizens. And it's going to always be strongly advised that us as Americans do not go visit their country. So I can see that happening though.
it's just a statement. We need to, if he turned that into policy, I'd be happy as a clam. And I would be, MAGA night at the White House. It would be 2016 all over again. We're never coming down. But the problem is we always just get these like statements. Trump gets in trouble in the polls. He gets in trouble with his favorability. And then we always see that he brings out the red meat and he throws this out to the base. And it's sort of disturbing that he knows exactly what to say. Like, that was the perfect statement that I would love. And so you say to yourself, oh, so you do know how to make us happy. You know exactly what we want to hear. You know exactly what we want you to do. Why are we now getting it all of a sudden like you flipped a switch? We should have been getting this the entire time. And not just in words, but in actions also. So, yeah, I mean, I thought it was an excellent statement, but we just need to see it actualized and realized. It's too much talk. And it also just seems like he's covering his behind.
Exactly, but I feel like this will never happen because this is the biggest problem of Donald Trump. He always promises you so many things, but he never delivers. He says these kind of things the moment when he needs us, but when he doesn't need us anymore, he also doesn't care about us anymore. He did this the same as with the past elections, right? Remember that he promised us so many things. He would build a wall, he would release the Epstein files, he would lower the prices, he would start mass deportations. Did we receive anything of what he promised us? No, so why would we trust him now again? Donald Trump is actually like the biggest demagogue of our country, of our world. He always says these kind of things only when he needs us, because once he is in power, he suddenly doesn't care about us anymore. He just cares about only his friends, his family, and his biggest donors. It's always the same, and I feel like people won't fall for it now again, because so many people, they feel betrayed already, because he did this exactly the past year. He always promised so many things, and he never delivers, and this is the reason why so many people are so mad now, and as well, why we will lose the midterms, because of this reason. He promised you, but he never.
And I agree with Purge here. If the Republicans were going to lose the midterms, I do feel like it would be because of this reason right here. Just a whole bunch of not delivering, not keeping promises, not being transparent about why the promises are not being kept. And I think all of that will eventually work in Trump's, it will work against him.
Never delivers. Such a shame.
Because we know that the numbers are really bad right now. Favorability polling, approval, and even this generic ballot polling that's coming out for 26. Everybody knows, and you and I have been talking about it for months, he's in real trouble. Like Marjorie Greene resigning, they might lose their majority even before the midterms if they lose a couple more people, if a couple more people jump ship or drop out. And so I think
and all he had to do was be nicer and not attack her. It's another self-inflicted wound.
Exactly. And that's really the saddest thing about this, is it's a missed opportunity. Here we are. We're well positioned. We know what we need to do. We know what the people want. We have the power to do it. He has the mandate. The left is disorganized. And yet it's all these self-inflicted wounds. And there was so much optimism and confidence, golden age and all this kind of stuff. And it feels like all over again, we're squandering it. And you have to lay the blame at the feet of the people with responsibility. They're looting. And I'm sure you know about this too. It is like a criminal enterprise, the way the people in this government are looting the government. It is like the epitome of grifter city, and everybody knows them there. It's insane. And, so people don't see the change happening, and they want to make excuses and talk about QAnon and five-dimensional chess.
And that's why they kicked Elon out, because he was doing real change.
Exactly right. Well, because he came in with private sector people. And he said, we're going to move fast and break things, and we're going to have a technological solution to a political problem.
Because the system will collapse, and none of the money's worth a thing. He didn't do it out of some altruism, but saving the ship. And these crazies are just continuing on with all of the. I mean, we can go into a whole deep dive on it, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, you're totally right. And it is. The whole country's collapsing, and it feels like nothing is going to shake us out of this. Might have to get worse before it gets better. I'm not an accelerationist, but you almost feel that's inevitable, because here we are. Things could not be worse in terms of the situation on the war footing, the fiscal situation, the debt situation, plus the mass migration. Like, how could it get worse? And yet we're still asleep
So
at
let's
the
look
wheel.
at a few scenarios. Crystal ball here. We're not saying this is the future, but particular futures. What are the futures you see if this doesn't succeed and the left comes in? Because people are radicalized. They're going to be, Nick Fuentes, or they're going to be Mondani. They're going to go America first, they're going to go commie. People, I mean, that shows how.
And that's really crazy how, like, Alex Jones went to those two extremes. He said they're either going to be Nick Fuentes or Zohran Mamdani. And if you know anything about Zohran, new mayor of New York, the guy that believes everything should be free. Dangerous.
How desperate the young people are.
Yeah, it's true. And especially in New York, where people that make six figures, they're affected by the affordability crisis. Like, New York is unaffordable for people that are actually making quite a bit of money. And what happens when people can't get ahead is they turn to that. When people have no stake in the society, they're going to turn to the redistributive scheme. And unfortunately, that comes with a lot of like anti-white grievance politics. And so I think what you're going to get in 28, I don't think it's so clean on the left, because look, they've had the same problem for many, many years, which is there's a deep tension between the establishment and the idealistic wing of the party, the progressive wing. You saw it in 2016 when they cheated Bernie. They cheated Bernie again in 2020. Like, Bernie won the first three contests, and then the Democrats came in and they rigged it for Biden in South Carolina. And then in 24, all the insiders said, no, we're going to do Biden. Oh, it turns out like that's impossible. Okay, well, we're just going to have Kamala. And there wasn't even a process. I think you're going to get a lot of frustration in 28. And with Trump not on the ticket, I don't know that they're really going to be able to rally. So they got some difficulty too. I think the task of the right is to outflank the left on economic populism. That's just the answer. It's literally that simple, because the left has a lot of internal contradictions. It's not so easy for them because, you know, there's going to be this like Josh Shapiro, Zohran Mamdani problem is what I would call it. On the right, we really just need to capitalize on the fact that the left is sort of being dragged down by the identity politics for them. It's like the anti-white grievance politics, the radical stuff, the Antifa, transgender stuff. It's really hurting them with a lot of their people. But the right just needs to get out of their own way. They need to deliver on affordability, housing. They can't be telling the voters, if you can't afford to live in your city, you have to go and move somewhere else and work on an oil rig. Like, that's not going to work. So there's opportunity for the right, but they have.
And that probably came from what Ben Shapiro said. Ben Shapiro's interview went pretty viral when he did this probably like 2 months ago, but he talked about how, like, if you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should live somewhere else, right? And people kind of went crazy about that. That's one in the Nazi redneck am I watching. Shout out to you. Thanks for stopping by. You're watching Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones. That's an interesting combination, a Nazi and a redneck. Damn, man, that person has a hard day. All right, guys, let's keep watching.
Have to listen to people like me, people like you, people like Tucker. They need to kind of hear that we're at a red alert. Big opportunities, but also major risks if we don't make the smart decisions. So that's sort of my crystal ball for 28. I think that.
I mean, I get the point Nick is trying to make it, but I feel like it's not that easy as well for the right. Just take a look at New York, for example. So many people, they voted for Mamdani. They're okay with someone like Mamdani being their leader. So that says already enough, right? What I don't understand in our country, how is it possible that we are such a powerful country with so many intelligent people, and then we have to choose between two incompetent guys, for example, like a Joe Biden and a Donald Trump? Really? Those two people are going to lead our country? What a shame, right? I feel like we need a third party. I don't know how you want to call this. Maybe the American First Party. I think it would be a great idea. But how is it possible that we only have these two parties always? And I know this has everything to do with money, of course. They have the biggest donors. They have the most money. I get this. But it's such a shame. Even when we had 4 years of Biden, other countries, they were literally like, they didn't believe that a guy like this was leading the most powerful country in the world. And that says already enough. They were literally laughing about this because Joe Biden was leading our country. And I feel like this is such a shame. It's time for a third party with someone who actually cares about America, someone who actually cares about the American people, and not these elite type of figures who only care about themselves, their biggest donors, and their friends. I'm just so tired of this. We need someone who actually can run this country without being a joke. Is that too much to ask for?
You know, the left is still not completely fortified yet, not consolidated, but they can.
No, they were literally laughing about this. But how is it possible that we only have these two parties always? And I know.
That's what I wanted to go back to what Purge was saying when he said, how is it possible that we only have these two parties always? And it's not that. We have more than that. But like he does touch on it eventually. The Republicans and the Democrats have the biggest owners, right? The biggest donors. They have the most money. So who touched on it? Bill O'Reilly said something that I thought was a good point. He said that he would actually love to see an independent run alongside of them. He actually would love to see that. But the money usually isn't there for the independent. Normally they're not able to raise the capital that they need to raise to go forward and run. So I guess it would probably take a pretty formidable Republican to maybe sponsor them or endorse them and make a very substantial donation in order for them to like kind of stay in the race. But yeah, normally that is why we only see the Democrats and the Republicans, because biggest donors, most money.
No, this has everything to do with money, of course. They have the biggest donors, they have the most money. I get this, but it's such a shame. Even when we had 4 years of Biden, other countries, they were literally like, they didn't believe that a guy like this was leading the most powerful country in the world, and that says already enough. They were literally laughing about us because Joe Biden was leading our country, and I feel like this is such a shame. It's time for a third party with someone who actually cares about America, someone who actually cares about the American people, and not these elite type of figures who only care about themselves, their biggest donors, and their friends. I'm just so tired of this. We need someone who actually can run this country without being a joke. Is that too much to ask for?
The left is still not completely fortified yet, not consolidated, but they can, and you can see it, they're rallying because the right is making a lot of unforced errors. No reason it should be like this.
What do you make of Newsom being their main frontrunner?
I think that Newsom is somebody he's similar to DeSantis in the sense that he has a lot of weaknesses that people don't realize. He's very arrogant. If you watched his debate with DeSantis, that governor's debate about a year or two ago, he didn't come off great. He didn't do a great job. And people are excited about him, like I was excited about him, because he's like a handsome, tall, white guy from the left.
And this is the stupidity that's been happening with these, if it's not even just Nick's fan base, like Clavicular was talking about this too. How he was gonna vote for Gavin Newsom because he totally mocks JD and like just ridiculous stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, dude, really? Like, I can see both sides of it. I'm not gonna say it's completely ridiculous because there is something to the leader of your country. Like, it is something to when a world leader is handsome and when they have a certain type of stature about them and they have a very stoic demeanor and like a strong jawline. I wouldn't even necessarily say they have to be white. It doesn't matter if they're brown skin or white, but it is something to what Nick is saying. I just think that these are crazy reasons, to go and vote for somebody. Like, I'm listening to Gen Z and I'm like, dude, this is the reason why you're going to vote for somebody like Gavin Newsom. That's crazy. You need to do more research than that.
Opposed to the kind of race communism like a Stacey Abrams. So that's sort of interesting. But he ran California into the ground. He's not that intelligent. I don't even really think he's that likable. He seems frustrated and sort of like a little bit smug and arrogant. So I think it's just like it was in the Republican primary last year. You never really know until a person is thrust onto the national stage how they're going to perform. And so right now, Newsom is the favorite, and he's obviously making moves. Pritzker, he's on Ozempic so that he can run, and Buttigieg is looking at running. And so you have a lot of people that are thinking about it. And I think that Gavin Newsom, it reminds me sort of like Jeb Bush, where he's maybe just the one with name recognition. He's maybe just the one who's got a little bit of name ID. He's a little bit well-known. He's tall. Maybe he's got the look. And so I think that's just the default. I think, though, that once the primary starts, we're going to get a complete surprise.
No, I agree. So who do you think the front runner is the Republican side of this big question?
Oh, it's Vance, without a question. It's Vance, and he's the one that's polling the highest, and he's the one that's favored in the betting markets. And it makes sense. He's the vice president, so he's sort of the heir apparent. He's right now the favorite. But I think it's the same thing with him. I'll give it to him. He's a good politician. And I think he's making a lot of strategic moves. He leaped in front of the Charlie Kirk funeral. And I don't want that to sound like it's cynical, but I do think that was a political move, even if it was sincere in some ways. I think it was smart. He's also leapt in front of, for example, the issue of Antifa, of the National Guard being deployed, immigration. When he was in Israel, he went to the church instead of the wall. Very calculated. And I think he's sort of been grooming the so-called dissident right. He's telling them what they want to hear. I think he's paving the way with the right-wing cultural.
It's not about credit. It's true. People don't know. You had your big split with Shapiro and all them in the last 9 years. And then Reuters basically took over. TPUSA was evident. And now you look at Vance getting questions. It sounds like you wrote his responses.
Yeah, it does sound like that. This one thing right here I will give Alex Jones, because there's been a couple of things, especially lately, that J.D. Vance has said that I've said, why is J.D. Vance saying this? Like, why is he? And literally, my wife was the one that picked up on this. She's like, dude, he's catering to the people that need to vote for him when it's time. So I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right, because he said he has started saying some things to where I'm like, J.D. Vance, you're saying this and you don't even have a white wife. Like, dude, you need to wake up.
I take actually the criticism, whereas he attacks you publicly, I think he's actually listening to you in policy.
Well, I don't know that he's listening to us, but I think it's strategic because, you know, you look at his actual policy, and I'll never forget this, and other people shouldn't either, and this is a concern. I'm always listening and I'm always open-minded, but last year, Vance made a very intentional choice during the election to go to an anti-war think tank called the Quincy Institute, and they're not isolationists, but they're prioritizers. And there's a book by Barry Posen that kind of gives their ideology, and they talk about prioritizing China or the Western Hemisphere. He goes to a think tank which is very much against the Middle Eastern wars, and he gives a speech about putting a pro-Israel spin on America first and justifying a relationship with Israel on the basis of missile defense or arming them to fight Iran or integrating them into an Abraham alliance that can kind of share the responsibilities in the Middle East. And that was like a very intentional signal. He was signaling allegiance and loyalty to the Israel lobby.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota
And that says it all, right? That says already enough. We can't trust JD Vance, aka JD Plant, because he is not America first. He is just like this puppet of Peter Thiel and Donald Trump. Who is even JD Vance? We barely know anything about this guy, and he's gonna be our next president. Seriously? What a joke, right? I'd rather make my dog the president of the United States than JD Plant. This guy, what a joke. He is constantly like, I'm America first. I'm this conservative guy. You can trust me. Dude, we barely know anything about you. Who are you? You changed your name multiple times. Like, not many people actually voted for you, and you're...
And this is what's crazy. Like, when I started figuring that out about JD, I'm like, why is he changing his name? But I get it. It's the whole, like, recreating yourself type of thing. I just was like, it can come off, depending on why he was doing it, because he was also in the military. So he could also have an alias, if I'm honest. Like, I'm just being honest with you guys. He could have an alias, and that could just be the story behind it or the context. You know, but it could also be a whole, like, reinvent yourself type of thing that he's doing as well.
Are gonna be your next president. What a joke, right? I hope seriously, because if this guy is gonna be your next president, then it's over. I feel like the next president of the United States, we're at a very important point now. The next president of the United States has to be actually America first. Otherwise, we have a big problem, seriously. And JD Vance, aka JD Plant, I don't believe he is this guy. He's completely the opposite of a guy who I wish who would be our president. But correct me if I'm wrong. This is just how I think about JD Vance. Excuse me for my little rant. But JD Vance as our next president, that would be not a great idea. Seriously, I'd rather make my dog the next president of the United States than JD Vance, right? What a joke. This Peter Thiel, Israel first chill guy. No, man.
As he says, we're going to officially get out of the Middle East, but we'll back Israel as the proxy.
Right, and, you know... And I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, because I don't think that that's even possible. And I think that this year has sort of shown the limitations of that idea, because Trump is trying to extricate us from the region, and Netanyahu wants us to fight Iran. And so I don't know how simple that is to say, well, we're just going to hand it off to Israel. I think Israel's always going to kind of need our help, and they're always going to demand more. So it's a question. And I think that Vance... He's acutely aware of the fact that public sentiment is turning against Israel, and that's why he didn't condemn Tucker. That's why when he was asked about it, he actually went and quote tweeted some Jewish journalist who was attacking Buckley, Tucker's son, who works for Vance in the press office. That was a very telling response. And so now Vance is pivoting, and now he's signaling to the Groyper-aligned Gen Z, or the Groyper-aligned millennials and Xers, who are very critical of Israel. And I think that's a very strategic choice. I guess the question is in 28...
I don't think there's a think. It's just not about shooting your horn. Because, it's a wave you rode in on, but you were so much of the wave as well. You didn't just surf in, you were a big part of the wave. I can tell you, I've met with people at the highest levels of government, highest levels of tech, and they want to talk about you. The door closes, and I have these private meetings. I'm not selling out to folks have these meetings. And they won't talk about you, so...
Just take a look at Nick's face. He could barely hold his laugh. Bro, what was that cough? What was up with that cough? That didn't sound very healthy. Just look at Nick's face. Oh my god. But okay, they will talk about another topic now. Excuse me for my laugh, but this was kind of funny. They will talk about another topic now, so that's not fair.
Closes, and I have these private meetings. I'm not selling out to folks have these meetings. And they won't talk about you, so we got.
Just take a look at Nick's face. He could barely hold his laugh. Bro, what was that cough? What was up with that cough? That didn't sound very healthy. Just look.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a smoker's cough? What's up with that? I mean, it sounds like he might have been in the middle of almost sneezing as well, too, though.
Look at Nick's face. Oh my god. But okay, they will talk about another topic now. Excuse me for my laugh, but this was kind of funny. They will talk about another topic now, so that's not very important for this video. Maybe I will cover this in another video, but I'm very curious about your opinion. Like, do you agree with Nick? Do you agree with Alex? Do you want to see JD Vance as our next president? I'm very curious. Please share your opinion in the comments. Very important to say, I read all comments. I even try to reply to some of your comments. So I'm very curious. As well, if you like this video, please hit.
Alright, shout out to Purge Viral for covering that. I just thought it was hilarious because you can't see Nick's face change. Like, you can tell he wants to laugh so bad, but he's trying to, like, maintain his composure. And he's trying to, like, be respectful. So I think that that's actually pretty hilarious. Alright, so the next one we're going to go to is Tim Walz, right? Changes his mind. Tim Walz is no longer going to run for governor. I'm not shocked by that. None of us should be shocked by that, especially with Trump in office. I just feel like after this whole Somali thing, it's a wrap. Like, Tim's like, yeah, I need to get out and quit while I'm ahead. So let's take a look at this. All right, shout out to Keith Edwards. Keith Edwards is the one who covered this. Keith is a channel favorite. We react to him often here on the channel. So shout out to you, Keith. Thanks for the commentary.
Welcome ideas from anyone, in any party, from any walk of life, who wants to help us continue to stay ahead of these criminals. And we welcome.
Stochastic terrorism describes how public figures use mass media to demonize people or groups, inciting statistically probable but individually unpredictable acts of violence from, quote, lone wolf individuals who are radicalized by the rhetoric but not directly ordered to attack. It leverages ambiguity, allowing instigators plausible deniability while fostering an environment where violence becomes an unexpected outcome, as seen in events like the January 6th Capitol riot or anti-Asian assaults. I would add to that the lawmaker in Minnesota who was assassinated. Now, that brings us, the reason why I'm reading that to you is because it's also a tool to get politicians and elected officials. It is one way to just like control elections and to control political outcomes, is by doing what Donald Trump does, which is pushing false allegations on someone so that people who are unhinged, insane, and violent start to threaten them. So though Donald Trump and the right are not held responsible for anything that may or may not happen to someone that they're targeting, they get the outcome that they want. Now, that's the reason why I bring this up, is because Tim Walz made a shock announcement today. Tim Walz decided that he is not going to be running for re-election, and he was planning on it. Here's that announcement.
Which brings me to this. 2026 is an election year. Election years have a way of ramping up the politics at a time when we simply can't afford more of that in Minnesota. In September, I announced that I would seek a historic third term as Minnesota's governor, and I have every confidence that if I gave it my all, we would win that race. But as I reflect on this moment with my family and my team over the holidays, I came to the conclusion that I can't give a political campaign my all. Every minute that I spend defending my own political interest would be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals who prey on our generosity and the cynics who want to prey on our differences. So I've decided to step out of this race, and I'll let others worry about the election while I focus on the work that's in front of me for the next year.
So Tim Walz is not seeking re-election, even though he intended to, and he's saying it's because of that scandal.
I just don't know how genuine that sounds. It doesn't sound very genuine to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like, when I first heard him talk about this, I was like, come on, Tim. It sounds like you're running. And it sounds like I think it's the Somali scandal that did it. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He's like, yeah, no, we can't stick around for this.
That has erupted in Minnesota, the one that has been manufactured by the right, that piece of shit YouTuber who's a fraud, Nick Shirley, actually tweeted, he ended Tim Walz. That was really the point of all of this, wasn't it? It wasn't about uncovering fraud. It was about trying to end the political campaign of an opponent, and it was also about trying to ramp up violence against them, and it worked. It worked. Tim Walz said this about conspiracy theorists, right-wing YouTubers.
We've got Republicans here in the state legislature playing hide and seek with potential whistleblowers. We've got conspiracy theorist right-wing YouTubers breaking into our daycares, demanding access to our children. We've got the President of the United States demonizing our Somali neighbors and wrongfully confiscating funds that Minnesotans rely on. It's disgusting and it's dangerous. Republicans are playing politics with the future of this state. It's shameful. And I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. We welcome ideas from anyone, in any party, from any walk of life, who wants to help us continue to stay ahead of these criminals. And we welcome the involvement of the federal government. I am grateful to the career professionals at the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI who have been helping us fight this fight for years. But I cannot abide the actions of the political leadership in Washington. These opportunists are willing to hurt our people to score cheap.
I'm about to show you something that makes me furious every time I see it. This is a real tax return from someone making $284,000.
They're also willing to make sure that someone like Tim Walz and his family gets hurt.
I don't want to mince words here. Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and in St. Paul and online want to make our state a colder, meaner place. They want to poison our people against each other by attacking our neighbors. And
see, he can't just say why he doesn't want to, why he's not going to stick around. He has to say all of this stuff. And this is where it's like, come on, Tim. But we shouldn't be surprised. We're not going to get any transparency out of him if he's on his way out. I'm just thinking to myself, like, why is this the way you want to spin talking about, you know, your last year or so in office? Why not just be more transparent?
ultimately, they want to take away much of what makes Minnesota the best place in the country to raise a family. They've already begun trying to withhold funds that were meant to help families afford child care, and they have no intention of stopping there. Make no mistake, we should be concerned about fraud in our state government. We cannot effectively deliver programs and services if we can't earn the public's trust. That's why over the past few years, we've made systemic changes in the way we do business. We don't want to mince words here.
So I guess I have some thoughts about this. And then we actually have some news about who might be running in the seat after Tim Walz. But I guess like my first thought is, and I'm interested to hear what you think, but I kind of feel like we need fighters, and everyone has to make a decision for themselves about whether or not they feel like they can be in this fight. But we need fighters. And if Tim Walz feels like he doesn't want to put himself or his family out there in this way, I respect that. And I'm glad that he's also saying that he can't do it, because we do need people that are able to fight the way that is required right now. So I feel awful that Tim Walz felt like.
Now, to Keith's point, you know, we play both sides over here. So Keith is he's a supporter of the left. He's openly admits that he is a liberal. I'm not shocked that Tim Walz is not running. I'm not a huge fan of his policies, just because I know some of the things that he's done and some of the legislation he's passed in Minnesota. So I'm not a big fan there. But I just feel like the Somali scandal was kind of like the icing on the cake, to where he's like, yeah, he can't do this. He has to move on.
He could not do this job. He's saying because he couldn't focus on what he needs to do, which is governing. I think this is also partly because his family is put in danger because of what Donald Trump is doing. No one should be put in danger because they have a difference in political beliefs. No one should be at risk of harm because they just believe something a little bit different than what your opponent does. No one should be in harm because they are the opponent of the President of the United States. But that's what's happening in this country, and it's awful that Tim Walz feels the need to do this. But this is also what happens in authoritarian regimes, is opponents bow out on their own because they just don't feel like the fight is worth it. Now, I'm going to say this. I am behind anyone who is willing to fight. How these people work is they divide us and they conquer us. And I'm not going to do that right now. I don't care what shade of blue you are, whether you're super moderate, you're super progressive. If you're willing to fight fascism, I'm on your side. I support you 100%. Tim Walz, we've supported on this channel. Kamala Harris, we've supported on this channel. Bernie Sanders, we've supported on this channel. Ro Khanna, we've supported on this channel. Truly, anyone who's out there and willing to fight, I'm on your side. And I ask...
And just by some of the people he's named, you can kind of tell. I mean, I think Ro Khanna, like he... let's see Ro Khanna. Let me double check. Let's see, what is Ro Khanna? Oh yeah, he is a part of the Democratic Party. I was gonna say he named all Democrats except, but no, Ro Khanna is there too. So that's what I said. Very big liberal supporter. We don't care about that, but nonetheless, he is right about the fact that they do need someone that's going to fight. Right now, Gavin Newsom is the front runner. A lot of people like him on the left and on the right. The crazy thing to me is that a lot of it is based on looks, which is ridiculous, and I hope changes. But this is the world that we literally live in, people. This is the world we live in.
You too, please, if you're watching this, let's not be judgmental of people's policy positions or whether they're perceived moderate or progressive or wherever they fall on the line. That's not the moment we're in right now. The moment we're in right now is that we have to be united. We have to be united. We have to be united in order to defeat the enemy. Now, Amy Klobuchar is reportedly thinking of running. Senator Amy Klobuchar seriously considers running for Minnesota governor. I welcome that. Anyone willing to put their hat into the ring right now, I support. If there's a primary, we'll decide who maybe the best fighter is. I hope there is a primary. I think primaries are healthy. But certainly, we need fighters right now. And I support anyone and everyone that wants to put their hat into the ring. And I hope you do too.
Alright, so shout out to Keith Edwards. Yeah, I hope they pick somebody. I hope they pick somebody that's worth it. And it's not a waste of time. Because the Democrats are struggling right now. But, like Nick Fuentes says, he's pretty confident that they're going to take something back in 2026. I am too. Just because there's enough time for people to be frustrated with the Trump administration. Some people don't feel like he's delivering, so it's not something that I would be shocked happened. All right, guys, let's move over to the next clip. Candace Owens blast Trump for going full neocon on Venezuela. That's what she called it. Let's take a listen.
I seriously...
And Candace is exactly right. That is...
All right, shout out to Liberty Vote. He's the one that covered this. We're listening to Candace Owens basically go on a rant because of President Donald Trump's behavior.
How many times can you keep falling for the same thing? Like the same CIA narrative that the reason why we're toppling all these regimes is because we're the good guys. I just recognize the CIA and the Mossad and what they keep doing over and over again. Seems pretty clear to me.
Candace Owens isn't swallowing any of the war propaganda in support of Trump's recent Venezuela regime change operation, which still isn't fully over with the rest of Maduro's government intact, to her great credit, by the way. And in this clip, she explains why she thinks this regime change operation is going to end up just as disastrous and catastrophic as all the others, despite all the praise and adulation toward Trump from the neocons and the war makers in Washington. Let's see what she has to say. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Isabella writes, what do you think Charlie would say about the operation capturing the dictator Maduro? He was a terrible man that oppressed the Venezuelan people, but I'm afraid of the deep state. I'm afraid the deep state where Israel is involved. Oh, you don't have to imagine that. I mean, Israel is always good to come right out and say, yay, this was good for us. Even Netanyahu was calling him anti-Semitic. And that's what I expressed to some of my followers who were like, Candace, I'm confused about your take. Maduro is a bad man. The false dichotomy here, the idea that if you're not happy that Maduro was taken down, it means that you think he was a good man. No, this is the same thing that happened with Assad. And I was proven correct in Syria. Israel wanted Assad gone because they want to expand their borders for the Greater Israel Project. And so they pretended like he was this, the worst thing that could possibly happen would be if Assad continued to be the president of Syria. And I said, well, he's going to be gone and a bunch of Christians are going to be mass murdered. At that time, obviously, Israel had been working with Al-Qaeda or Al-Qaeda adjacent group. I think it's Al-Nusrat is the name of the group because they work, of course, when you see, oh my gosh, there are these radical Muslim groups. Okay, yeah, they're kind of working with Israel. That's why they never attack Israel. And
that's exactly right. Fact check true. Actually, Syria allowed Israel to use its airspace in its recent war.
Yeah, she's making a good point here. She is. We got to listen to this closely.
Versus Iran probably would do the same again, and Candace is exactly right that Israel preferred the Al-Qaeda faction within Syria to Assad, who was a distant Alawite, an offshoot of Shia. That's what they preferred. And the United States backed that regime change operation, first through the CIA, Operation Timber Sycamore, that had the U.S. siding with literal ISIS and Al-Qaeda fighters, resulting in the ascension of the current president of Syria, who is an Al-Qaeda emir. He founded the Al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria, Al-Nusra. Candace is exactly right here. You did have basically all the Zionists under the sun celebrate this, including the globalists like Nat Rothschild came out on Twitter and made a special post congratulating this. Bill Ackman, billionaire Zionist donor, said, at this rate, Iran will be free soon, giving away the game completely. Benjamin Netanyahu, of course, celebrating it too. They all want this. It's a precursor to a war with Iran, and I think Candace is right here.
And I sense now that people go, wow, a lot of Christians are being murdered in Syria, just like Candace said. Okay? So the question is, do you go with the devil you know or the devil you don't know? And in this circumstance, I believe that the end verdict for Venezuela is not going to be preferred. Okay? I think Israel's salivating and they're pretending like this means we're going to have cheap oil. We're going to be filling up our tank for 3 cents. And what's going to happen after that is America, the streets are going to be clean, the kids are going to become smart. Like, how many times can you keep falling for the same thing? Like the same CIA narrative that the reason why we're toppling all these regimes is because we're the good guys. And I just don't know how many times we can keep engaging in the same stupid sports and expecting different results. We're just doing the same stupid thing over and over. Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan. No, really, this time we're toppling evil. Oh, millions of civilians dead? The stakes are worse than they've ever been. What happened? Oh, I know what happened. Imperialism happened.
That's exactly right. And they always link anti-war dissidents to these supposed enemies, the latest CIA boogeyman of the day, the enemy du jour of the political establishment and Washington, telling you that you side with Maduro if you don't want regime change against him. I thought people learned their lessons from the stupidity of opposing the invasion of Iraq and then being called, well, you're just siding with Saddam. Or you must have been a pro-communist to oppose the Vietnam War. Not exactly true there, too. Or if you had the gall to oppose the regime change operation in Libya, well, you were siding with Gaddafi. It's the same propaganda playbook rolled out every single time. It's incredible how many people are duped by this after all the disasters of the past. But the truth is, and I hate to say it, is people are easily duped by that war propaganda. They are being duped that way in Venezuela too, and they will smear you for having the proper moral position on this, to not be a world's policeman, empire builder, and neo-colonialist by just extracting resources through tight, politically connected corporations in collusion with the government.
People at the very top, the oligarchy that runs the world, got richer. They became more powerful. And the rest of us, no, not doing any better, actually. But if we're lucky, our sons will be able to go die overseas. That's kind of the offer. I don't know. Anyways, just keeps happening. Just keeps happening. And I just would like to get off the hamster wheel. So no, to be extra clear here, I do not believe Maduro was a good guy. I am not Team Maduro. Nor do I think that Assad was some perfect president of Syria. I just recognize the CIA and the Mossad and what they keep doing over and over again. It seems pretty clear to me. I recognize patterns.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Recognizing patterns of war propaganda every single time at some point when your mind awakens to this, when you get red-pilled on war, it's so easy to notice as the masses just get duped by this every single time, whether you're living under a Republican president or a Democratic president. But the Trump fans that, gave him lots of praise, from 2016 onward for saying, Iraq was a big fat lie. They didn't have weapons of mass destruction. It was a disaster. Saying that in front of Jeb Bush in South Carolina, smearing neocons like Lindsey Graham, only to allow Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, king neocons out there, to dictate U.S. foreign policy now. That's what we're living under. We're living under an empire. Trump and his administration are banana Republicans, setting up banana republics under neo-colonialism to extract resources and collude with companies to do so, calling it American oil. What's their casus belli? It's actually not the drug connection, which was pure propaganda. They did go with that for a while, but even when the DEA was saying no fentanyl comes through Venezuela, nor does much cocaine whatsoever, they charged him with American gun control laws, the NFA from 1934, saying, hey, he had machine guns, so we're going to extend our jurisdiction throughout the world in this case, putting it in the indictment document. It's so absurd. You have so many of these people that cheered for Trump because he opposed the neocons in terms of his rhetoric, not in practice, but now they're using the same neocon propaganda to support this regime change operation. And the rest of Maduro's government remains in place. There's no key or kind of clue as to what's to come next. The regime change operation doesn't seem to have even been fulfilled. So you have...
The truth is, making more income isn't actually going to make you wealthy. Structure does. And I learned...
Trump on a pedestal at the press conference saying, we're going to occupy Venezuela. The Venezuela government is ours. He won't rule out additional strikes. He won't rule out boots on the ground. He will probably pressure them, but they couldn't even regime change Afghanistan or Iraq with thousands of troops on the ground. How does he expect to do it with a Maduro loyalist, generally government in place? There might have been some deal, but what's to say that this can even happen? Because they couldn't even do it with thousands of military troops. So I just don't think this is going to pan out, despite all the Trumpians out there celebrating this right now, as if it's over. This took 90 minutes. You see this all over the place with people saying, real regime change has never been tried. This is the right way to change a regime. And just supporting all of the same slop that led us to the worst disastrous regime change of our lifetimes. Like Syria, like Libya, like Afghanistan, like Iraq, like Somalia, on and on again, never learning the lessons. Hey, I got to give Candace props. I think her take is perfect here. The Zionists are on board with this. We've seen that. You don't have to take it from me. You don't have to call that an anti-Semitic conspiracy. Of course, some people will. But it is all those ardent Zionists, especially on the right, cheering this on Twitter. Don't take it from me. Take a look at it. That's the truth. So, amen.
This is where it's frustrating, too, because what Liberty Vote's saying, he's making a good point. Just because you don't 100% agree with something doesn't mean you're 101% anti, right? And it's just like, that could just be a frustrating stance when I deal with that with people as well. But I actually agree with what he's saying here when it comes to that.
Candace, thanks for sharing your take on this. I hope to hear her talk more about this and analyze this a little bit more. There's a lot of open questions, and I don't like where it's going. I think there's guaranteed chaos here. The record for regime change on the U.S. side hasn't been exactly too good, right? For at least 80 years. It takes you about, 70 years to find a counterexample to that regime change will never work. Maybe Japan. So that's what you get from this nonsense. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Is Candace Owens right about this? What do you think is going to happen next in Venezuela? Will there be additional boots on the ground, additional strikes? What is the end game? What's going to happen next?
Yeah, Trump did talk about that in a White House press conference, he talked about that they were prepared to make secondary strikes. And I instantly said to myself, I asked you guys on the live stream, I'm like, what would be the point of that? That doesn't even make any sense. If there's gang violence, sure. If there's terroristic behavior, absolutely. But if none of that's going on, what would be the point of a second strike, right? So I can see him sending military in there. Of course, we have to do things like extract oil, but I'm not really sure what would be the point of a secondary strike. So I don't actually know if that's going to happen, but I'm hoping it doesn't, because to me, that doesn't make much sense. All right, guys, so moving on to PPD, Patrick Bet David podcast. Shout out to him if you guys know Valuetainment. Friends with Tracks New York. Got a chance to sit down and talk about what happened and why Tracks went viral for his behavior. I said it earlier in the live stream where I saw it first. So if you guys want to know the channel that I saw it first, go back to the beginning of the live stream and you'll hear me talk about it. So let's go ahead to PPD's podcast and let's hear some of Tracks' story.
Did you ever think you were
watching this in the last week? If you haven't seen,
so PPD has hosted Tracks before. They've known each other for some time. He hosted him out in Soho previously. When he heard about the story, he said he had to link with him so he could figure out what was going on. The way he puts it, Tracks lost his mind. I mean, he went pretty viral. So let's take a look at the conversation.
this one guy who lost his mind after a guy over a $22,000 deal and this video on Instagram. You have to have not logged on to Instagram to have not seen this video. I don't know how many views it's at right now. The week prior to that, it was about Nick Shirley. But this week, Tracks NYC, Maksud, posted a video pulling up to this man. Let me see how many views it's at right now, Rob. Can you see it or no? Let's see.
Pulling up to George.
Pulling up to George.
Right.
And it's got now 73 million views. It's been shared 651,000 times. Can we start off with the clip, Rob? Just play the clip first.
This is the one that he spits in my face.
No, go to the first one, Rob, not to this one. Go to this one first.
Man, I knew you went viral, but 73 million? That's crazy. 73 million. You went viral.
Where's my f***ing money, motherfucker? Where's my f***ing money? Where's my money? I got this bracelet. Where's my f***ing money? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna f***ing do?
That was 4 years in the making right there.
PBS, I3, 14K, and you're using my name! You
How long have you guys known each other?
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 64, 47. Thief! You f***ing thief!
There's a violence. There's a violence.
That's what he said. There's a violence.
Fucking idiot.
Okay. So you can pause right there, Rob. So first of all, Trax, it's good to have you on.
Thanks, man.
We had you. We were at a Art Basel event at the Soho House, the Manette event that we had a couple of years ago.
You had me as a fan for many years.
Yeah. And then I see this, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Now, keep in mind, the jewelry, but I had when people found out you're going to be on, I had no idea the gold business in New York was this political. The amount of messages I got,
right.
Fans and haters. Do you realize Trax this, Trax that? I want to know what happened.
So hold me back, these bastards.
So tell us the story. Who is he? Who is George? Who are all the people involved in that conversation?
Yeah, they are, they're just the sneakiest people you could ever imagine, right? I moved into this exchange in 2018. And I signed with these landlords, this Baharian family that the father or the uncle or whoever, there used to be a bank there. They bought the bank, they renovated it into a beautiful exchange. And the family renovated them. I know the family for years, for like 20 years, 10 years before, whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. I signed a lease. 2018, I move in. I start doing social media. I start getting popular. And I fill up the exchange with great neighbors and everything like that. COVID comes around. And this family, I don't know if they're Turkish or Syrian Turkish or Christian or whatever. Not that that matters at all, but that's just people are curious about shit like that. And lo and behold, unbeknownst to anybody, they buy 50% of this exchange.
Do you love to travel? How about making money? I have an opportunity for you that you're gonna love.
The exchange or the building?
The exchange.
Okay.
Yeah, the building is a co-op. Other owners, in the Diamond District for years have been buying over there. All sorts of characters.
So like I said, shout out to the first channel where me and my wife first got to see this on. That's why I said in the beginning of the live stream, shout out to the New York Dad. He reacted to this first. He showed it on his channel first. So I had a good amount of what was happening because he had been talking about it for like 2 or 3 days. But here, when Trax goes on PPD, he gives a lot of the backstory to where some of the stuff I was seeing at first, it just didn't make sense, like as to why, and even some of the things I was hearing, like, okay, but like, why is this person pretending to be him, and why does he feel like he has the right to do that? So Trax is going into a lot of that backstory, and this is what helped connect a lot of dots for me.
Their stupid business, mentalities and schemes, constantly some bullshit. Always a problem, but whatever, it's manageable. And they buy into this exchange because, I'm there, right? And I'm bringing in good, solid tenants, and I'm bringing in clients steadily. But when they buy in, they, as landlords, so to speak, they're really ownership partners, not landlords. But then they sneak down into the booth across from mine, and they never say that they're partners or that they bought into the exchange. They just say they're renting a booth. So I meet them, I say hello, and I start treating them like everybody else. And I see something's wrong. The father, I ask him to, we're neighbors in an exchange, in a jewelry exchange. I got the windows, and you guys got this booth. And I go to this father, and I'm like, yo, these are old school chains. I could sell them. I could do an ad right now, do a commercial. And he's like, He looks at me like I'm some bum, asking for some shit.
This is 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I'm like looking at him, I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? What is he talking to me like that for? Then the son is trying to lie to me, sneak a little lie. No, this, that. And I'm like, I'm seeing that these people just do dirty things. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? And I just start to ignore them. I don't give a shit about them. Then the client, takes a picture, and then he tags their business. This is again 5 years ago. Tags my business with his picture. It says Trax YC with the very same picture that dumb bastard you just had in the thumbnail or whatever, George Akai. And I come up to him, and I have him, and I take my phone, and I show him my phone, and I'm like, yo, why is your picture, what is this? He grabs the phone out of my hand. This is 5 years ago. And he's like, and he's holding it like this. He's like, no. I'm like, did you just fucking grab my phone?
This is 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you guys have had a feud for years.
Yeah. No, listen. He grabs my phone out of my hand and he's holding it like this, like I'm a child, like you can't have this. It's mine. I snatched it. I'm like, yo, bro, do you know what you're doing right now? So then I start to beef with them and I start to warn them. I'm like, yo, I'm not the one to play with, bro.
This makes sense why in the beginning when PPD started to play the video, Track said this was 4 years in the making, because a lot of this stuff he's talking about right now with the guy taking the phone and then a client posting next to the guy and he's putting like tracks, like the client's putting tracks as if that guy is him. You know, he's like, this was years in the making. So listening to him tell the backstory to this, after me seeing like clips of what happened the last couple of days, I'm like, okay, now a lot of it makes sense as to why he was like so upset about it. I mean, I get being upset about it if this was like a first time thing that happened, because you don't want anybody like, you know, crapping on your name. Like if your word is all you have. So it's like if people trust you and they come to you, which later on he does start to talk about that. It's like, yeah, I would be pissed off if someone was doing that too. But because he was like so angry, I felt like there was something behind that. You know what I'm saying? Versus if this was just the very, very first time it happened.
And in person, and then it turns out that they reveal that that they bought in. Then they're feuding with the actual landlords. Then they're bringing in their own super. Then they're firing a security guard. Then they want to close the shop this way. They want to close the shop when they leave, not when I close at 7. They want to leave at 6. They want to close the whole shop. I'm like, yo, get the fuck out of here, man. I didn't sign my lease with you. I don't know who you are. I don't accept you as the landlord coming downstairs and pretending to be another tenant, you know, doing some sneaky garbage. I'm not here for it. I don't accept it. I don't need it. And I warned them. And I warned them, and I warned them, and I warned them. Don't do it. Don't say your tracks in my seat. Don't do this. Don't do that. He feels like they felt like they bought in, and now they own me. They could say their tracks. They could say this. It's like I could come in here, and I could say, I'm Valuetainment, and I could take your shit, and I could, tomorrow say, I'm PBD Podcast, and just because I'm here, I'm there, just doing extra shit for no fucking reason. So, whatever, but you know what? I'm trying to market my business. I'm trying to keep the peace. I'm trying to do whatever I'm supposed to be doing, and that's it. New Year's Eve rolls around. I'm happy. I closed out my record year. Yeah. I sold 5 million in December.
December alone.
Yeah, December alone. 5 million. We're doing 40 million a year, whatever. I don't even know what it is anymore. I did my record December, record margins and volume and so on and so forth. I'm happy. I have my team. I have all my ducks in a row. I don't have any bullshit going on. And then somebody comes up, one of my members of my staff comes up to me. He's like, yo, Max, the customer's looking for you. There's 14K, 10K, and this happened and that happened. I'm like, what's going on? And then I go downstairs and the customer's there, desperate and sad on New Year's Eve. And he's like, I bought this. This guy said he's you. I'm like, I'm like, I can't take this shit anymore. I'm just about to enjoy. I'm not waiting New Year's Eve.
This is New Year's Eve?
Yeah. I'm not watching it drop the ball drop and thinking I can't wait till Monday to confront them. I'm like, you know what, man? Come downstairs. I go inside their booth. All right, since they're saying they're me, I must be them. I go inside their fucking booth. I give him his $22,000. He spent $21,000. I give him $22,000. I said, you're made whole. That's it. He's finally happy. He's relieved.
And some people might not like this, but I got where Trax was going with this, because at this point he's frustrated. But I thought it was hilarious when he said this. He's like, well, if they're me, then I must be them. And I just thought about that mindset where it's like, yeah, you want to be lying, right? You want to be telling people that you're me. So he's like, I just went in there. And that's why when I saw him trashing all of that stuff, I thought he was like in his own shop and he was just upset. And he was breaking stuff, but he wasn't. He was actually in their shop doing that.
Because he's not, you know what I'm saying? He's a regular dude. I don't know where he got the money. But he's just a regular guy. But, these regular people that make money or get money somehow, they trust me, they believe in me. So they're looking for me. This fucking dickhead.
And this right here is where I really got to see like how he cares about his customers, right? And what his word means to him and his work. Because he's saying, this is a regular guy. I don't know where he got the money from, but these people that make this money or get this money, they tend to trust me. And I was saying that to my wife. I'm like, yeah, that's messed up because that could be, like, the gentleman doesn't look that old, but still, if you're investing, then you have it. So that could be from that guy's retirement account, right? That could be from his life savings. And he's just saying, you know what? I want to go out and I want to buy something nice for myself. Sometimes people buy a nice watch. Like, sometimes men will buy, like, a nice watch, like a Rolex if they want a jewelry piece, right? Or a nice bracelet or a nice chain or something like that. So they'll do things like this, and I just felt bad because it's like that guy probably took that money and he just wanted to get himself a nice piece, and he just got ripped off by somebody. And I thought it was crazy when Trax tested it and he's like, it's like 9 carats or something like that. I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
Ed says to him, he shows him a picture of Trax. I'm like, see, jewelry. He's like, oh, I'm out of stock. I'm going to order this later, but I have this for you now. And he tricks him. And he does this nasty, sneaky shit that I warned him not to do 5 years ago. So I get behind the counter and I go to war.
This is the clip, the first one that we showed.
Yeah, the first one is the one where I'm right here. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you went to war, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is after I fucking trashed their scales and all their other shit.
This right here. Rob, you want to play this?
This is where I'm with the customer.
The receipt from this disgusting company that pretends to be me, says they're Trax MIC, sells my customer a bracelet, rips them off on the gold. Shit, they're saying it's 14 karat gold. Well, we're going to test this bracelet right now.
Start the test.
10 karat gold. So that they say they were Trax MIC?
Yeah, he tried to portray, he tried to sell one of your products. He said that he ran out.
Right.
One of your rings.
Came up with a scheme.
Right, that we sell. So you came with a picture of Trax MIC.
Yep. I opened up the website for him.
And then he said he ran out, even though he has nothing to fucking...
Now here he tells him 10 carats, but then as he's out there and he's talking to the guy, he tells him, he slams it on the glass and he says 9 carats. This is what's crazy because at first I wasn't able to connect these dots either until he went on PPD and talked about it. So because the guy was doing this 5 years prior, that's why a client even went to him and showed him Trax's inventory, right? Because at first I was like, well, why would he go to him and show him Trax's inventory? But it's because the guy was pretending to be him. So he shows him Trax's inventory and he's like, yeah, he's looking at, obviously he sees a bracelet on there that he likes and he's like, this bracelet. And the dude's like, oh, I don't have it. I don't know if he's telling him he ran out or he sold it, but he's ordering more. And instead I have this. And even I have a problem with that because for me personally, I'm like, if I go for a specific bracelet, I don't think I'm going to take, like, I have this instead. I would wait for the one I wanted, but maybe that one looks similar. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to go somewhere and he just wanted the piece to have it, so I'm not sure why he got it anyway.
Do with me other than to steal my fucking customers all day long. These rats have done this over and over.
Okay. So that's the customer, $21,000. You make him whole, $22,000. You go up to him. You guys have that issue. Then you leave. What happens next?
Right. Well, before this, you could go to the next clip. You just go to the next, but I think it's this one when I made him whole. And that's me fucking their shit up over there. I just had enough.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
Yeah, this is the one.
So where is George? Are you in a room where George is also in this room?
Not at this. George is enjoying his New Year's Eve with his dumbass family somewhere.
Press play.
Your talent, your style, your book. Doran's Publishing.
So not only did these fucking pieces of shit,
this was started,
okay, rip you off on this fucking thing. It turned out to be 9 karat gold, right? You had a check?
Yes.
So they're going to be giving you $1,000 on top. Here's $22,000 for your fucking trouble. These fucking bums.
Is that them?
Yeah.
Bro. You
That's their area.
Yeah.
People is stop being greedy pieces of fucking lying shit. I'm trash. I want this. Coming up with a fucking.
That's your area. You're doing this.
Yeah, it's on now.
So they're seeing this.
Yeah, it was a surprise.
What time is this?
Starry-eyed surprise for these motherfuckers. End of the day on New Year's Eve.
But what time?
4 p.m., 5 p.m.
So this is 4 or 5, and customers are around.
Yeah.
Now, can you pause it real quick?
Yeah.
Where is your shop?
Right across from where I'm standing.
So this way.
Yeah, right across. The window's right. Just like where the booth is facing, I'm looking at my shop.
So all day you guys are seeing each other.
I don't see them because I don't sit in my shop. I have a mezzanine and I do my shit. I have a team that runs my store.
Downstairs. You're upstairs.
Yeah, I'm upstairs. I'm running around. I'm doing shit, you know? And I have a team. But I see them as I'm walking in, walking out, walking in, walking out. But, you know, I don't really sit in my shop for that particular reason. I don't want to see these disgusting brothers and their scheming ways. I just don't want to be around it, man. I'm very fickle when it comes to shit like that. You know what I'm saying? If I don't like a person, I don't have it in me because I'll lose it. You know? I don't have it in me.
Okay, so they see this clip. This is end of day, 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay. New Year's Eve, December 31st.
Yeah.
What happens next? Do they call you?
They don't call me. They start trying to call the cops. You know what I'm saying? They start trying to do this. They start trying to do that. You know, the police show up and they realize it's a civil matter because I'm refunding a person. It's an impersonation. When the cops come, my NYPD, my staff tells them, hey, we had to make this customer whole, $22,000. This, that. It's not just a clear-cut situation. So the NYPD leave. They show up the next day, but the heat is already on from this video. And they're thinking, let's talk like gentlemen, he says, or so to speak, right? Because he knows that the heat is on this shit. So on January 2nd, I pop out, and then you see the events, he's sitting in his booth, this George.
Oh, okay, so that's 2 days later.
Yeah.
And then this is the one you pull up to him.
Yeah, that's
which we already played. So, got it. And he's surprised. He's not seeing you coming in. So, by the way, pause right there. Are you on that side?
That's tracks on my seat.
Oh, I see it. I see right behind it. Okay, now I get it.
That's my booth.
You guys are literally right next to each other.
He moved in there to fucking steal customers for years. That's what the fuck he did. They saw I was a successful guy, and like vultures, like parasites, man. Like parasites, they moved down there. At first, they didn't even put their name on their booth, so they could just say their tracks on my seat. You know what I'm saying? They're sick. Sick people, bro. They're not regular people. They don't buy a cup of coffee over there, bro. They don't do nothing. They're cheap as hell. You know?
Where are they from?
They're Turkish. I heard Syria. I heard Turkey. I heard this. I heard that. You know what I'm saying? Listen, these are all lines that I'm at. I've met so many amazing Turkish people. I've never, ever, ever seen anybody like this.
Okay, so then, what does it say, Rob, where they're from? Does it say anything or no?
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, so after that clip,
I would just say every race has their critters, right? Every race. That's why when he's like, I've never seen anything like this. It's like, yeah, every race has that. It doesn't matter. Black, white, Hispanic, Turkish, doesn't matter.
After that clip, that's when...
Just sitting there trying to steal customers from me and then lying. No! Just that bold-faced lying shit. No, I didn't do it. What? You know, I'm like, yo, you fucking retards. I had enough of that shit in the Diamond District. Tell me one bold-faced lie to my face that you didn't do this and you didn't do that. That's what you're going to get from me every fucking time.
So now go back to the last clip. The last clip is when it's tipping point.
That's right? It. That's when I already hit them, and I posted this video, and then I come back to them. They're already closing the exchange. They're lowering the gates like the dumbass.
This is what, January 2nd?
Yeah, this is January 2nd.
Yeah, this is after the
This is Freddie trying to strangle me. Right? Like, can't really see it here, but the guy who has his one hand on my shoulder.
Black sweater.
The other hand he has on a chain like this, and he's twisting it. And strangling me.
Rob, go on the Instagram account to show the full clip. So he's trying to strangle you.
Yeah.
I think you were just on it. Second.
Yeah, it's the third one.
Third one?
Yeah, right there. No, my bad.
Previous one, right?
Yeah. This
one.
Yeah.
You're sweet.
This is the new generation tungsten steel slingshot, equipped with infrared, automatic wind meter, and lasers.
Right.
Who's that guy? Who's the guy?
That's his brother. That's his brother, George and Freddie. The two brothers. You know what I'm saying? He put his hand on my neck right away after his brother spit on me.
Who's there with you?
My staff came to rescue me.
Strangled me with my own chain.
And that's what I didn't see. I don't know if I just missed it when he was playing the clips back for us, but I just didn't see that part. Like when he spit on him so like violently the way that he did, I'm like, oh yeah, I see why he went to go crack him. I would have did the same thing.
Get out of this hospital. TracksNYC.com.
I love how at the end you just had to put TracksNYC.com. You're just nonstop with it.
Why not?
No, I respect it. And then the last thing is the clip that we saw of everybody walking out being arrested, handcuffed, but you weren't handcuffed. So
no.
Why were you not handcuffed? And is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead and play this.
Well, because the NYPD decided that spitting and strangling, they're looking for bruises, the NYPD. Okay?
And that's you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you were assaulted and you want to catch an assault charge, you put a bruise on somebody, that's an assault. That's what they told me. Okay? If you have markings that they could photograph so they could, prosecute a case to the judge. Because if you say I assaulted you, you assaulted me, and you have no markings, it's a hearsay type bullshit. But if you have markings and they could have pictures of those markings, they could prosecute an assault charge. So that's what they look for. And that I'm the only one who had markings because I got beat the shit out of by everybody.
How many of those guys jumped you? What was the total?
It was the father.
The father is George?
No, the father is the older man. The father of George. I know George and Freddie look like they're 80 years old. But they have a father that's, he's standing like right next to whatever. These are the two brothers, George and Freddie. Okay, and the third brother. And then they have this hitman over there with the other white hair, whoever the fuck he is. And
is the father in this picture or no?
Yeah, he was in there somewhere. Yeah, there's the father right there standing in front. You know what I'm saying? He was doing some kicking and some fucking screaming.
The dad was kicking.
Yeah, the dad, all I saw is, everybody's coming. I saw the dad just like his foot coming out. And then, this idiot threw a scale at my head as well, and it hit on one of my employees. It's like, we're getting the surveillance footage. You know what I'm saying? There's Marcus, my team member, the father's over there somewhere. So they're trying to break it up. My staff come take it up, but, I can't breathe. All I could do is pull back on the chain to try to breathe. As this fucking idiot is pulling on my chain over a refund and all this and all that. They listen, man. It's all a bunch of bullshit. These people, this whole saga is an example of blind greed. Money is my God. This is what you're looking at. Okay, I have money. That's what they came up to me. This fucking dumbass, when I was arguing, years ago with this fucking idiot, Freddie, in the middle of the argument, I'm talking to him. And he shows his watch. He's got a gold Sky Dweller on. He's like, you know how many of these I have? I'm like, what the fuck difference does that make? That you have to say, I have this, so you could say you're what? More important than me? Because you have more Sky Dwellers? Because I don't have enough Sky Dwellers in my showcase? You have more, that means you're greater? What is your logic, bro? They're all about, I have money. These are just the lowest, biggest losers that without the...
Yeah, materialistic. They feel like because they have something materialistic that they're rich. They feel like that they're better because I have this and I have more of it than you have. And it's crazy because it's like scripture talks about storing up treasure here on earth. Things that can rust and thieves can come in and steal. Doesn't make sense to do it.
The dollar sign, they have nothing. They have no ability to communicate. They have no social skills, no personal skills. All they have is a dollar to go, I have more money. And it's just disgusting. People like that are disgusting.
Now, let me ask you this. This event that took place, are they in jail? Are they out?
No, they got out. They got criminal charges, the two brothers. Assault charges. But I called the prosecutor and the DA, I'm not here to be strangled. It's still a little hard to swallow over here, bro. I'm not here to be strangled like a misdemeanor. You know what I'm saying? I never strangled anybody with a chain. I had markings I don't bruise easily, dude. I had markings all around my neck. man. And to be strangled and pulled on like this, and I'm just thinking, all right, I know my staff is gonna come through. I got some serious guys on my team that they're not gonna play around, and they come and they rescue me, and and then they start fighting, brawling over there as well. They lost it. They got exposed.
How many businesses are in there?
Maybe like a 10, I think, or something.
So what are the other guys saying about it? Do they know about the feud between the two of you?
Yeah, the other guys all hate them, but they try to kind of, use them as a counterbalance towards me, but they know that's, because they don't want their rent raised. So they're like, hey, I'll be on your side, you're the partners in here, the rent. They're all playing a game, people want to keep the rent low. They want to be able to, I pay for the windows. The windows are, altogether like 40 grand plus.
A month.
Yeah. Okay. I'm paying for the windows and I'm bringing customers from around the world. All right. And if you're paying for a booth that's 4 or 5 grand a month per day, that's nothing. Okay. You sell a watch a day from some spillover customer of mine. You're in the profit. You're good. So their business is for me to fill the exchange, pay for the windows, and get a little something. So they're playing, but they don't give a shit about them. The Baharian landlords are good people, and they're easy to do business with. They're normal to do business with. So
Baharian or the Armenian?
No, they're Baharian. Jewish family.
Jewish Baharian family.
And that's fine. And we do it, and we pay the rent, and we all get along, and we all say hello in the morning, and we say goodbye, and I take a ring over here, and I take it over there, and I bring a customer here, and we all work as one normal community. It's only those motherfuckers in the middle that fucked it all up. I was doing events in there. No vision, no talent, no nothing. Just let me steal and let me sneak and let me this. They deserve everything they're gonna fucking get, those motherfuckers, huh?
How much longer are you gonna stay in there?
I'm gonna stay in there indefinitely, because I like that place. I like doing business. I have the mezzanine in there as well. I'm better off in my own space, but I like community. You know what I'm saying? I'm better off in my own space. I gotta buy my own building, but I like the community so far. So I'm just doing it like that, and that's it. It's an exchange. You could come, you could take a look, you don't like mine. But don't say you're me. I know the temptation is there when the customer's there going, are you Trax? Yeah, I'm Trax. You're not Trax, man. Don't say you're fucking me. You greedy, retarded bastards, bro. And you think you're going to get away with it. And there's other sneaky bastards, doing sneaky shit. But I let it slide. I let them correct their ways. I don't want to destroy their business. You know what I'm saying? Because then they're going to hurt. And then they're going to cry.
See, and in this way, he is showing the side of humility, because he's like, I've seen people doing this to me before, but, I let them slide. I didn't want them to hurt. So it's not like he's like necessarily quick to just go fight somebody about something because this happened. It seems like because over the course of the years, the things that have happened.
So I rather sit here and, lose a little bite than cut them into pieces. And I do that to some of the people, the bribes, and they know who they are. The slobs coming up with a bribe, laughing, thinking you're smart. You're not smarter than me, bro. I see what you're doing, you fucking whatever.
Got it. So it's funny because you seem like you don't want to be there, but you also don't want to leave. It's like you love the game. What is the profile of somebody that makes it on 47th in the district? What is the profile of a good businessman that makes it? Do you have to be feisty? Do you have to have a little bit of an edge?
Yeah, you gotta have something going on, man. I mean, the people that made it, the sad thing is, the people that have been successful for years in that business are some of the most ruthless people ever.
In jewelry.
That are, period. They're just ruthless, okay? When they're giving out credit or who they could rip off or whatever point of leverage that they could squeeze, they squeeze on it. Each time, every time, 100% of the time, okay? Wherever they could lie to you, they lie to you. Wherever they could fool you, they fool you. And those are the people that have been successful. But it turned it into a disgusting business that way. When I was a kid, and I showed up there when I was 18, 19 years old, the people there were just disgusting. the way they treated one another and whatever. But I'm
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Who did you work for at first?
I didn't work for anybody. I just started photographing jewelry and putting it up on eBay, and then selling it and then buying it from Canal Street.
You, by yourself or with a partner?
By myself.
Got it.
Right. I hired my friends that the drug addicts that I used to have for friends. I hired
back in the days.
Back in the day.
And then slowly you build yourself up.
Yeah, and slowly I learned. I was building myself up pretty quickly. Then I had to take a back step because I was a young dude. I got overwhelmed, and I made mistakes. I was 18, 19, and it took a long time to correct them. But now I have the wisdom to do what I need to do. I know what.
What did you do?
Huh?
What mistakes were there?
What mistakes? Well, I lost some of my key people because I ruined the relationship. Right, and then I had to backtrack for a long time. The real mistake was my prices were too low, my profits weren't high enough. I believed too many people that were disgusting, like my other landlord, and they were all using it and taking advantage of me. And I was just doing stupid business decisions that didn't make sense. And then I started watching Warren Buffett, and I learned what business is with one thing that he said that really changed everything for me. Okay, he bought a windmill company. Windmill company was failing. And they were doing all sorts of shit, building windmills, doing this, doing that. And how did he turn it around? Well, he stopped producing windmills, which were a loss in production. And then he raised the price on certain key repair components. And then it was in the green. So you cut down the production of things that are at a loss. Stop selling things that are giving you a headache. And just focus on what makes money and increase the price on that. And that's it. Keep your business profitable and in the green. So here's an example for my business. I would have, a 10-carat chain that's very light. But it would snap very easy. So don't sell it. That's it. You don't need a chain that snaps and then the customer's returning in 2 weeks, or they think it's bigger, or they think it's this, or think it's that. If it's a headache, raise the price and forget it. Just keep your business profitable. Stop trying to please everybody and get every sale. That's not business. Okay? Volume is not business. Profit is business. Keep your profits high on things you can sell. Keep your expenses low, profits high. And then when you know to make a move forward, you make a move forward. I was making moves forward out of a self-esteem. I'm an immigrant from Azerbaijan. I landed in America in 1993 with my parents. They didn't know anything about business. Okay? I opened up my business 11 years later in 2004. I didn't even know if I could have a business. I didn't even know if I could be successful. So I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But it's not about how you feel. Business don't give a shit how you feel, whether you feel confident or you doubt yourself. Business cares about your profit margin, what you're selling, and the principles behind business. And that is something I had to wake up and learn. That all these stupid feelings from Azerbaijan and the Soviet Union don't mean anything. What means something is the product, the customer, profit margin, and things like that.
Yes, it's funny because, like I was telling you pre-going live, the moment we announced you're going to be on, I started getting messages. FYI, some people that are watching this, Trax is on Manect as well if you want to go find him. The only thing is on Manect, you can't find him under Trax. You got to look up Maksud, Maksud, Agajani, Agadjani, and you can ask him any question. Prior to buying anything, I would probably be asking him questions saying, what do you think about this? Just for a second opinion. But when we announced that you're going to be coming on, next thing you know, I'm getting messages. I cannot believe this. Do you know what he did? Do you know who he is? This is happening to him. There was one guy named Joseph said he used to be in business with you. Akari. Right. I don't know. He says he's the one you and him did eBay stuff together and all this stuff.
He used to be in 9th grade. I can't believe you got him off on Manect.
Manect, yeah.
He was in 9th grade. We were in a class together. This fucking guy, bro. He keeps thinking he started me and he did this, he did that. His father was a jeweler. I was working on Canal, and then I hired him. Right, his father was a jeweler. I went over there, and God rest his soul, his father passed. And I saw how to size a ring for the first time.
So he's 3 years younger than you.
No, we were at the same age.
9th grade.
9th grade, we were together, and then we graduated. I started my business, and then he's like, "Yo, you started." I saw him on Canal Street. You started the business, yo. And then we go.
That's how he speaks.
That's how he speaks. I started you, and then we go over there, and he shows me, his father's a jeweler, how to size a ring. He teaches me a thing or two, and introduces me to a couple of people on the block. I'm like, cool, I'll hire you, and this is my business. I'm starting it, but I'll work with you, and if you do well, I'll cut you a piece, or I'll get you this and get you that. And all of a sudden, in his head, he's a partner, he's an owner, he's this for the rest of his fucking life. It's an ego trip, man. These people are crazy. Okay. And you're getting these haters popping out and saying, do you know this? Do you know that? They don't want me to be successful being an honest person. Because they went the path of the scumbag. And they want to stick to that path because they believe that's the way the world really works. And when they see an honest person being successful, it puts their whole philosophy in doubt. So they want me to fail. Because I'm actually doing actual business. I'm changing the way the business is. And they want to see me fall because of that. You know what I'm saying? And that bothers me. But it's okay because I'm ready for it. Just like I was ready for it with those fucking stupid-ass Akai brothers. There's a lot of people circling around, like hyenas, trying to take a bite here, a bite there. But once you get one and you get to grizzle them, and then they limp away, half dead, then the rest of them know.
In the space you're in, by the way, you said your background, Azerbaijan, Baku. Is it true it's half Jewish, half Muslim?
Yes. Well, my mother's Jewish. I was raised Jewish. My dad never told me anything about the religion. But then
All right, so shout out to PPD and Tracks for that. I'm not going to watch that whole thing because it's a long one. You guys can go over Patrick Bet David's podcast and watch the rest of that. Let's jump into the next clip. Really not worth thanks so.
More niggas can't walk, get on outlaw.
Good Monday. Good morning.
This is real guys and gal having some of this real conversation early in the morning, man. It's Monday. Good morning. Get your funky ass up. You know the routine.
Wake it up, wake it up, wake it up.
What's good with y'all, man?
It's Monday.
Good. It's Monday. Yup, we back. Kids is back in school. And we
Thank God. They eat like it ain't nothing. All day.
Oh, yeah.
Say, I know you don't eat like this when you in school. You go till whatever time.
LB, they wait till the end of the day, you get home, you're super starving. You like, yo, you ain't eat at school today?
Right.
Oh, no, I ain't like what they had. All right.
Keep that same energy. My cupboards are bare. Sicker.
Unbelievable. What's good? Good morning, y'all. Natalie, Trav. What's good with y'all? Keith, what's good, my brother?
Keith, what's good, brother? Right. What up?
What's good with the people, man?
How was your weekend? Anything interesting this weekend?
Man,
Whether you have money or not, I recommend you buy this. This telescopic clothes rack was a gift from my brother.
In one of the deeply Venezuelan neighborhoods near Cúcuta, Colombia, just inside the Colombian border, those who fled Venezuela years ago now try to make sense of what's happening in their home country. Say some, nothing's changed. This woman, who came here 9 years ago, spoke to us only after covering her face. Even with the new president, she says anyone who says anything against the Venezuelan government will go to jail. So we're back to the same thing again. Days after that U.S. raid to remove from power Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, we hear from this man, Venezuelan Oscar Machado, only disdain for Donald Trump. It's a violation of Venezuelan sovereignty and international law, he tells us. Trump is always pointing at people who break the law here he is doing just that. A couple of blocks away, the bridge from Venezuela crossing into Colombia was jammed. On the Colombian side, trucks are inspected. Papers double-checked by freshly placed authorities. But in Venezuela, there's loud support for the now jailed in America Maduro.
El gobierno de Venezuela.
While interim President Delcy Rodriguez labeled Trump's move unprecedented aggression, and as Venezuela's Attorney General told the country's sitting heads of state, such as Maduro, have, as he put it, absolute personal immunity and cannot be arrested or prosecuted by foreign courts, even falsely. But to those who want real change now in Venezuela, Luis Carrero, who works with popular opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, says, in effect, be patient. It is changing, he says. What Trump has done is a step in a long process. The regime had been around for 26 years. This is a step. Back on the streets of Colombia, where military vehicles and armed soldiers remain in place along the Venezuelan border, worries persist Trump may move against Colombia's president as well, citing the drug trade as the issue. And so Gustavo Petro continues to slam the U.S. president for even suggesting such action. Petro saying Trump has, quote, a senile brain. Those who voted for Donald Trump, he added, voted for a greedy outlaw. Meanwhile, in Colombia, tomorrow is set to be a day of national protest with demonstrations planned for town squares and city squares throughout the country. The president himself says he'll take part in one of them and will address the nation as tensions in this country, Adrian, escalate.
All right, thank you, Paul. That's Paul Hunter in Cucuta, Colombia.
Well, we can't get mad at them for that. Why is Trump talking about breaking the law and he's doing that right now? Let's jump into the next clip.
Once again, we were far ahead of the repertorial pack in telling you about what was happening in Venezuela from Saturday night onward. And when I go out there and say things, report things, analyze things that turn out to be true, that is a good thing. And that's why you're here. So we are an independent news agency, as you know. We do not do podcasts. We do actual reporting in a broadcast linear fashion. And we have an amazing amount now of people delivering what I say and do. I'm going to tell you a little bit about True Social, that it just exploded later on in the broadcast. Anyway, what am I talking about specifically? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Okay, so I get a letter from a concierge member in California. Now, we keep the identity of concierge members private. That's one of our services to them. It's private line to me. You have a question, you have a comment, you have a situation you need help with, we are there for you. Concierge program on BillO'Reilly.com. So this guy writes, O'Reilly, I heard you say something like, the Venezuelan military did not protect Maduro because they had a deal with the CIA to give him up to Delta forces. What was your source for this information? I cannot find any mention of this anywhere, and you will not find any mention of it. Now, my source for the information is anonymous, so I did not report it as fact. I used it in my opinion analysis on News Nation Saturday night. Roll it. So the CIA pinpointed where Maduro was, that the army would not help him. His own army didn't help him. His own police force didn't help him. Okay, nobody helped him. Delta Force went in. The CIA guy said, there he is. Go get him. They got him. And now he's walking around with a silly hat in Brooklyn. Okay, so...
Like, this is going to be Bill O'Reilly's take on it. He's a very heavy supporter of President Trump, but he's also not afraid to say where he doesn't agree with him at.
The concierge member goes, well, how can you say that if you're not going to source it? And again, the sources are all anonymous, and I don't report anonymous stuff as fact, which separates me. But I can incorporate it into my opinion analysis. All right. So today what happens, the Wall Street Journal pops an article that says, quote, late last year, the CIA cultivated a source within Maduro's inner circle who provided information about his whereabouts. Wall Street Journal previously reported that. The spy agencies close tracking Maduro's location, which leveraged other surveillance elements, including stealth drones, allowed the Army's Delta Force to nab him and his wife during the raid. People familiar with the operation said, maybe they're the same sources I have. But what the Wall Street Journal didn't report is that the CIA made a deal with the Venezuelan army. Because you cannot have a foreign army, USA, drop into a military compound where the president of a country is residing, grab that guy, take him out of the country without one single gunshot fired. That is impossible. I'm not on the level of Sherlock Holmes, but I have some deductive reasoning powers. And I know a deal was made. And there are other deals have been made. And I'll tell you about them as they unfold. But the CIA, which largely resides in the American embassy, there is no American ambassador to Venezuela, by the way. That has not been, nobody's been confirmed. CIA is running that country. Now, the Venezuelan military has to go along with it. And that's why Maduro is in Brooklyn, New York. And he'll never get out of prison. This guy. Okay? He's there. He's going to get 40 years just like Noriega. So, I'm telling you all of this because when I say something, I'm very, very precise about whether it is I'm reporting a fact or I'm reporting an opinion. And when somebody tells me something, and I'm on the phone all the time, with sources in our government, foreign governments, whatever, and they need to be protected, I protect them. And I won't tell you it's fact. Okay, like most of the others will. They'll use anonymous sources as facts. I don't. Okay? And that's why you're here. And I don't get it wrong. Okay, remember the last time we had to correct a story? We've been doing this 9 years now. On an independent news agency. And before that, more than 20 years on a Fox News channel. Maybe I corrected 3 stories. Because we are very, very, very disciplined in what we put out there. But my service to you is, if I say it, you can trust it. Trust is earned. And that is the memo. Now, the Trump haters, the dissenters, which is most of the media, they don't know what to do, okay? Because the raid was successful. Maduro's out. And that's better for the people of Venezuela. But now they seized upon a really absurd situation. Now, a guy named Rick Stengel, he used to be, I think, the editor of Newsweek, veteran journalist. He works for MS, and he's paid to say bad things about Donald Trump. When you sign on with MS, that's the deal. We'll pay you money, you say bad things about Trump. Here's what Stengel's latest is on Venezuela.
If you're interested in Qigong and Gong energy practices, you don't have to miss this video. Look here, I'm going to show you some Qi demonstrations. This is Master Joe doing a Qi mission called Fa Gong Go Fa Qi, which is perceived by the receiver like a strong electric current, which is even difficult to hold, as you might see on this video. And this is my teacher, Shifu Zhou's student, the founder of the Qigong system, Shifu Costantino Valente, was doing the same thing now. And now, this is myself, doing a Qi mission. Unfortunately, many people will talk about energy in a very intellectual way. And even in the Qigong community, these kind of results, they are seen as a scam or something impossible to achieve. The truth of the matter is that if you have a progressive system, step by step, developed seriously, which is based on ancient teachings and on teachers that actually are able to demonstrate what they talk about, this is what's going to happen. The master doing a chair mission, his student doing the same thing, and then later on even myself achieving the same result. Let me introduce myself. My name is Josh Andrea. I am an instructor of the Neichi Kung Fu School created by my teacher, Shifu Costantino Valente. I want you to understand something very important. The goal of Neichi Gong is not to do a Fachi demonstration as the ones that I show you. Those are just proof that we're not just talking, like unfortunately many people do in this energy practices world, if we can call it like this.
Go.
I'm going to give you a sentence that never came out of Donald Trump's mouth, which is, I want a really comprehensive, airtight plan for how we're going to govern Venezuela after we depose Maduro.
Well, he doesn't have a really airtight plan, because how would you know that? The Trump administration didn't know that Delta Force would go in and get Maduro as cleanly as it did. They hoped. They had things lined up. How would you know? And even if the president has a plan in his mind, that plan is going to be difficult to execute. It's a foreign country. It's not easy. And why on earth, and Stengel knows this, that's why I don't have any respect for him, you wouldn't tell the world and your adversaries what you're going to do until you do it. I mean, that's the absurdity of, Trump didn't consult with Congress about the raid, because it couldn't have been a raid then. Once you go in and tell the world, hey, we're going to get Maduro, then it goes up in flames. Same thing with the bombing of Iran. You can't say we're going to bomb Iran on Sunday. You got anti-aircraft come on, you're putting U.S. service people at risk. These people know this, but they don't care. They're lying to you. An airtight plan. Moron? But he isn't a moron. Stengel knows. But he's, I mean, any history, which most television pundits don't. We did the same thing in Vietnam, El Salvador, the United States. CIA goes in to a troublesome country, a country that's hurting America, and they destabilize the country. It's been going on since World War II, OAS, okay? And that morphed into the CIA. It's ridiculous. The cost of everything is still rising, and many of us are relying on credit cards to cover essentials. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. Americans now owe more than $1 trillion in credit card debt. You may have thought about calling American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to lose your low mortgage rate. Well, good news, they created the Smart Equity Loan. It lets you tap into your home's equity without touching your current mortgage. Unlike a home off for nothing.
Why choose Wyoming for business and corporation?
About it. So this is Washington Post. First question. Do you approve or disapprove of the USA having sent military forces into Venezuela to capture Maduro? Approve 40, disapprove 42, unsure 18. Political party. 74% of Republicans approve, 13% of Democrats, 34% of independents. Next question, was it appropriate for President Trump to order the operation on his own? Should he be consulted with Congress? Appropriate on his own, 37, Congress, 63. Now, that's because people don't understand. You can't do covert operations with congressional debate underway. Okay, because the media doesn't really explain it. All right, next question. Do you think the United States should or should not put Maduro on trial for drug trafficking? Should 50? Should not 14? Unsure 36. And that's, again, if you're unsure, that's an honest answer. You don't know. Okay? But I can tell you without any doubt at all, Maduro will be convicted, and he will get what Noriega got. The indictment against him and his wife is fairly extensive. Why? Because they got the DEA and CIA all over Venezuela. I mean, come on. All right, now the Associated Press is part of the problem in the United States right now because it hates Trump. Okay, it hated me. Probably still does. All right, because I wasn't a liberal commentator.
I mean, the Associated Press hates everybody. It hates itself. That's why it never tells us the truth. We have to watch both sides, left and right, and put the truth together with our minds because they lie to us.
And for years, the Associated Press did nasty things about me, never said anything good, even though I was the dominant anchor man in the country. Never. So they hate Trump. And they filed a report about Venezuela. It was filed by a White House reporter for the Associated Press named Amir Madhani. Amir Madhani, January 3rd, quote, "Well, there are no visible signs."
All right, you guys, shout out to you. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. We will be back tomorrow for the daily live stream. And then I will see you guys. I'll probably come on a little bit earlier tomorrow for the first one. So I'll see you guys then. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Love yourselves, love one another, and be peaceful. Peace.